Hello and welcome to Footy Judge Mode. This is your midday views. I'm here with Perchi himself from Football Heritage TV. We're gonna have a cracking show for you. Osimhen to Chelsea is on apparently. Chelsea are strengthening and spending more money to strengthen the squad, of course. Spurs with a lot of injuries and a lot of suspensions, of course. We'll see if they bounce back or someone will take their spot. And Liverpool or Arsenal too. I'm gonna see his views. I'm gonna see Perchi's views. This is my first one-on-one with Perchi. I'm honored to have you here, my friend. I'm honored to have you here. Glad to have you here. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. No, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Listen, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. A lot happened over the weekend, and there's not much to talk about going forward with the international break. So yeah, there's plenty to talk about. Let's get at it.
Yeah, hit that like button, people. If you just joined, make sure to subscribe if you're new. Football Heritage TV is in the title. You don't have to do anything. You just click on the link, take you there. Give them a subscription. They're going to have a cracking show for you today at 6 p.m. UK time. A great new show. I'm sure all of you will enjoy it. But listen, let's start right away with that Chelsea hype that is going around town. Listen, they had a great game against Man City, draw 4-4, scored a lot of goals, but also conceded. Osimhen to Chelsea is on. What were your views of the game? Did you see Chelsea finally, everything is clicking, finally scoring goals? Their problem was putting the ball in the back of the net, and they did it. They conceded a lot of goals. It comes both ways, you know what I mean? So, how do you view the game?
I mean, it was an absolute humdinger of a game. What a game of football, by the way. Listen, I think Chelsea. I think a lot of football fans who were maybe a few months ago laughing at Chelsea, oh, they're going to get relegated, all this lot. I think Chelsea are going to be there or thereabouts again. I think they're starting to find
What
goals.
do you mean? What do you mean? Can you define there and thereabout?
I think they'll be in the conversation for Europe. Maybe Champions League's a little bit over the top, but it's early days, right? Listen, if Chelsea go on and win 4 or 5 games and they start getting themselves into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th conversation again and get back, close the gap. I said it on the Spurs review on Sunday on Football Heritage TV when we were talking about it. I said Chelsea will be 4 points behind Spurs by New Year's Day.
Wow.
And I think I know. And listen, being as a Spurs fan, I say it how it is. I'm not one of these. I'm not. It's all fluffy and rainbows with me. I think we're in a really bad situation right now, and I think we're going to really, really struggle. But Chelsea at the moment, what they're doing now is they found goals. One thing we were all talking about with Chelsea earlier on is they create a lot of opportunities, but they don't score them. Well, in the last 2 games, they've got 8 goals. You could argue against us they're a little bit fortuitous because I think we probably allowed them to do it. I feel like we allowed them to do it. And then against Man City will always open up because they are, I will say, the best team in the country. Arguably, you could say the world at the moment. And they're going to, but it was an off day for Man City, in my opinion, the way that they were. But listen, Chelsea go and get 4 points out of Spurs away and Man City at home. I think people need to reconsider their thought process of what Man City were, and what Chelsea were. 2 or 3 months ago, because everyone was going, "Oh, they're crap. They can't score goals," but they're getting goals. They've only scored. They've scored 3 less goals than Tottenham have, and everyone was talking about, "Oh, Tottenham are this free-flowing, attacking, brilliant football team," and Chelsea, this team that can't score, but they've scored 3 less goals than Spurs right now. So I think we have to reevaluate it definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I was in the beginning of the season always saying for Chelsea fans, you look okay. Footballing wise, you look okay. It just needs to be a bit clicking. It needs a little bit of composure in front of the goal. It needs a little bit of people just believing in themselves, like the likes of Jackson, Cole Palmer, Raheem Sterling. Even though I'm not his biggest fan, but when he's on it, I think Raheem Sterling is a weapon. I think Raheem Sterling can do damage. You know what I mean? He provides experience, he provides flair, he provides speed. I wasn't his biggest fan because I think Raheem Sterling needs service. But if he steps up, listen, the guy is talented, the guy is quick, the guy can play football. Can he lead the line though? The question to you is that Raheem Sterling is the experienced player up top until Nkunku comes back? Is he the
Yeah.
guy to lead the line? That's the $1 million question for me.
Well, listen, I think Raheem Sterling, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think with me, I've always sang on, do you know what? Raheem Sterling's a good player, very good player, not world class. None of that. We're not into that discussion. He's not that, but he's a very good player. The problem is do you know what the biggest what Raheem Sterling was always good at? And Chelsea have been the problem here in a sense, and it's not their fault. Chelsea have had so many different lineups. I mean, I haven't even counted how many different 11s have started all season from because they've had injuries, suspensions, injuries. So there's no settlement. And this is the same. And by the way, this also goes in the conversation with the likes of Mudryk. I think Mudryk's a very, very talented football player, but everyone goes, oh, he's rubbish because it's here and now, right? Whereas I think you look at the likes of a Mudryk, you look at a Raheem Sterling, put those two in the same category and go, if they're settled in a team, they play week in, week out, they play in their set roles, you're going to start seeing more of them. I think as football fans, I think the key here for football fans, it's we want the here and now. We've all become like this. Whereas I look at it and go, Chelsea have got about 30, they've had about 20 to 30 odd signings in the space of 18 months. It doesn't work like I think people forget we're not playing FIFA, right? We're not playing FIFA. It's not Football Manager where you could just do all this and then all of a sudden they play. Like these players need to learn. They need to find their mates in the dressing room. They need to find their partnerships. And I said all along, I said Chelsea will struggle. They're going to struggle at the start, but they will get there. Under Pochettino, they will get there, and they're slowly getting there. And that's the bit for me, right?
Come the questions. Is Pochettino the man? You're a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
I had this question on the Football Terrace and on this channel before. And for the people in the chat, you guys know, I said, is Pochettino the man to take them over the line? Is Pochettino the man to develop them? 100%. But is he the guy to take them over the line? Is he the guy to finish the race first with them? At some point, it doesn't have to be this season. It doesn't have to be next season. But is he the guy to finally get this project going and have a sustainable brand of football that not only play good football like he did at Spurs, but win trophies?
The $1 million question, right? I mean, that is the question. From my experience, I'm going to say no, but I think there is a slight difference here with Chelsea. He is going to get players that he necessarily wants, potentially. We don't know who is buying these players, right? We don't. Is Pochettino going, I want Nicholas Jackson, I want Mudryk, I want this? I don't think so. From the way that their business model is, the way that they operate, I don't think so. However,
why didn't you think so? Why? What's the reason for that?
Because I sit there and I go, the one thing at Spurs, which Pochettino was very, very vocal about, was he wanted a smaller squad, a squad of players that he can galvanize collectively. If you didn't fit into that, you're gone. He always operated with this small team, and it was the 11, it was the players, then the subs and stuff. He didn't really give what I would say opportunity elsewhere, and you could argue that was his detriment because in the essence, then what Spurs didn't have was a big enough squad to compete at the highest level. Now, is this changing?
Well, he's back now, Pirchi. He's back now. There's a lot of players getting here and there. Look at them linked to Osimhen, though. This is a massive sign. Look at them linked to Osimhen. If Osimhen comes to this team, they have Caicedo, one of the best DMs in the world at the moment, the best prospect. They have Enzo Fernandez, who I rate as an 8. They have Nkunku, a brilliant 10. They have Cole Palmer, the prospect. They have Raheem Sterling, the experienced player. They have Thiago Silva. I don't believe Thiago Silva can continue, but I also believe that Badiashile is a brilliant player. Colwell, Reece James. They need a goalkeeper. If they get Osimhen, do you think this is the last piece of the puzzle with him? Because he complained all the time about backing from Daniel Levy at Spurs. Like, I remember when you went to the Champions League final the next season, you had no signings. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? So now Todd Bohley backs his team, spends money, get him players as he wants. I think this is his time.
Listen. You could be right. By the way, it's one of those. I'm not going to die on the sword for it. Listen, I think you're right. I think Osimhen is a massive, massive signing. If they get that over the line, I think I'm going to say it's more rumours than anything, but if they did, though, it's the sort of signing Chelsea go and make. You go big signing, maybe not in January, maybe in the summer. I would think if that sort of signing happens in the summer than it does in January. But if they go and go, look, do you know what? We're going to put 150 million pound on this guy. Chelsea are a threat because this guy's a quality goal scorer. I think we all agree what Chelsea need is they need that 20 to 30 goal a season striker. And if they get that player, I think Chelsea are a threat. I think you're right about the likes of a Thiago Silva. They're going to have to slowly replace him because he's not going to be able to continue at the level. However, by the way, Thiago Silva, what a player, by the way.
Not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. I'm not
really?
a big fan.
A defender that at his age, playing at the level he plays at, for me, I think that just in itself is massive respect. Name me another 37-year-old that plays week in, week out at the highest level. There's not many you can count on there. But listen, each to their own. But I think for me, Chelsea go and get a goal scorer, a consistent goal scorer, not one that goes and gets 4 or 5 and then doesn't score in 6. Listen, I think Jackson has scored 4 in the last 2 now. But the thing is he has to.
I actually think Jackson is a good player, Peachy.
I think he's a good player. I don't think he's not the goal scorer that you go in to win a league with. That's the difference. If we're going to talk about Chelsea winning a league, he won't be your guy. He's not the Harry Kane, so to speak, in your team where you go, do you know what? Even if we're playing badly, he'll score you a goal and get you out of trouble.
Would you rather them have Ivan Toney? So talking about Jackson, would you rather have them Ivan Toney or Osimhen for Chelsea?
I mean, Osimhen's a better striker. I think Toney, though, what Toney does is Ivan Toney's I hate to say it, the player he fits into is Arsenal. If Arsenal get an Ivan Toney, he's a presence up top and he'll get you the goals and stuff. I think Arsenal and Chelsea are very similar in that same position where those sort of teams need to get that big time goal scorer that gets over the line. You could argue, by the way, Tottenham are in that same conversation as well, by the way. I think we need a goal scorer, but I don't think we're competing at the levels of an Osimhen right now. I don't think we are there. I think we're at the Santiago Jimenez market than a Victor Osimhen, if that makes sense. I think that's just, whether we like it or not, that's just what it is. By the way, I think he's a great player, Jimenez, but I think that's it though. I think if Chelsea put the money down, they'll get Osimhen. There's no question about it. If they do it, they'll get him.
Listen, I am a big fan of Osimhen. I'm a big fan of Osimhen because he plays. People just don't understand. People look at the speed of Osimhen and think he's only a transition football player. He's only good on the counter attack. However, Osimhen played in a team last year who is, I think, in the first 5 of ball position teams in the world. People just don't watch Napoli. Napoli last year were a team that always had ball position. So he always played in tight spaces. He always didn't have the space to run into. He's brilliant in running behind defense, even in a small areas. And I think his link-up play is really, really underrated. People just look at the speed of a player and think, you're not good enough to play position-based football because you're quick. Well, he played in Napoli, scored abundance of goal, won them the league for the first time over 30 years. Of course, with the likes of Kvaratskhelia, Lobotka, and Guisa, and Zielinski. They were a brilliant team. But I think he was the one at the end that made them win the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's the Champions League when they played against Milan, he was still good. He missed a couple of chances. But again, a player that can do I think Osimhen can do everything in football. Can dribble, can do transition-based football. Mate. He's a fantastic player. And I think it's the difference between him and Ivan Toney, and people hate me for this opinion. Ivan Toney, as good as he is on the eye, he played in a counter-attacking team. Like Brentford is a 40 to 45% ball position team. That means they always sit deep, they always play in the counter-attack, while Osimhen is different. Osimhen is on a front foot, is a team with a front foot with the ball, tight spaces. That's why I think Osimhen is valued higher than Ivan Toney, even though Ivan Toney has the Premier League experience and all the stuff. I would love to see Osimhen in the Premier League, being a big fan of his. I actually think that he will benefit Chelsea. I think if he comes to Chelsea, I think he's not going to be another Lukaku. People keep saying, yeah, but
Yeah, he's-
Lukaku scored a lot of goals in Serie A. Well, Lukaku came to an environment that nobody worked at. Timo Werner didn't work. Kai Havertz didn't work. Hakim Ziyech didn't work. Pulisic didn't work. So did Lukaku didn't work as well. I think
Yeah.
Osimhen is a fantastic signing. If they can get him in January, hands down, I believe Chelsea have a chance of making top four. Not challenging
Yeah,
for the league, but
I
making
think so.
top four.
I think this is the bit, and we have this conversation. I've had this conversation several times. It's people go about, oh, why strikers so expensive? Well, there's not many good ones out there nowadays. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. There's not many amazing strikers out there. There's a reason why this lad's got a price tag, Osimhen, of over 150 odd million quid, because there's not many out there like nowadays. Whereas being nostalgic, back when I was growing up, you used to have goal scorers everywhere.
Tons of them.
Tons of them.
From
Nowadays,
the Militos. Oh my God, tons of them.
Milito, do you know what I mean? Like the Robbie Fowlers, the do you know
Raul
what I mean?
Gonzalez, like a lot of them. Like
Like,
Morientes,
oh,
and you can go Pazzini. You can, oh my God,
oh
there's
mate,
tons
like
of them.
there was so many players out there that used to just score goals and fun. But nowadays you don't really get that. Like I think the likes of the Harry Kanes and the Haalands. I'm not putting the likes of the big. I'm putting like the ones in there, the Lewandowskis and stuff. There's not. Do you know what I mean? There's not a list of them anymore. There used to be loads, but nowadays it's less so. And that's why the likes of Osimhen's going to be high priced, because what wins you games of football? Putting them in the back of the net. 9 times out of 10, the reason why teams win the league because they've got a goal scorer that constantly scores goals. You can argue better defenders, blah blah blah, but you can't write off scoring goals. But yeah, listen, if Chelsea get an Osimhen, I think if they get him in January, I would be very worried. I think rivals have to be very, very worried.
Yeah. So going to strikers and moving on to the different to Spurs, your team. Well, I watched the Wolves game and I thought, and I had this argument with Will, that Youngmin's Son without Madison looked absolutely lost as a striker. Looked absolutely lost. Like your team at the moment, from flying high, unbeaten, playing sensational football, right? To going back to you sat deep against Wolves. Out of all teams, you sat deep and you couldn't contain them. They had a chance after a chance after a chance. Of course, we can all pin it down. Eric Dyer, Emerson Royale, who I think is an atrocious player, to be honest. Davis was all right. Bissouma didn't do his job. Højbjerg wasn't great. How do you see your team performance now? Well, Romero still have 2 games, which is you have Newcastle and Aston Villa, if I'm not mistaken. How do you see your team after this? How do you see your team? But before we do that, guys, over 120 of you here. Can we get the likes up to 100 so we can get more people watching us? 120 people here. I need to see 100 likes. The like button is underneath your live chat. Do it. Do it now. Hit that like button underneath your live chat. Get us to 100 likes so we can get more people watching us. How do you see Spurs at the moment? And people call you imposters, as Hussam always says. I had this argument with him that there was no evidence, and he's like, yeah, they didn't play well against Fulham. And I have to say that you played good in 8 out of the 10 games you played. How do you see your team at the moment? And now, and I said that after 8 games, 20 teams had 20 points after 8 games. 20 of them made top 4. Are you scared that you're the one who might break that? You might not make top 4.
I saw this stat, and at the time, I just said it. Listen, it's all context, right? I think context is such a great word. It's a great motto on our channel. Context and consistency is the key. But listen, I think that you're right in a sense. Listen, do I think we may not? I don't see why we will or we won't. I think it can go either way. I think the one for me, though, is what haven't Spurs got that a lot of the teams in the sort of top 6, call them that, the 6 best teams at the moment, what Spurs are probably out of that top 6 have got the worst in squad depth. So when I say that, you lose 2 or 3 players and you're going, whoa, this team just not the same. What went wrong against Wolves? You were saying
Son was isolated.
Yeah.
He couldn't hold up the play very well. Bissouma was kind of lost in the middle somehow. Sarr was played out of position, really high on the pitch for some reason. Whatever Andrew was thinking, I think it was wrong. And Eric Dyer, who shouldn't be the defender in a top 6 team. It's as simple as that. He shouldn't be the starting defender.
But
I think that was it.
But listen, let's be honest. I watched the game. Was the defenders the reason we lost the game? Be honest. I don't think it was. I think I'm going to put it out there, and I can't believe I'm saying it. The back four wasn't the reason we lost the game. The back four was because we had nothing from the transition from midfield to the final three, the front three. And it's another one. It's going on a t-shirt. It will do. Without James Maddison, Tottenham are nothing. And whatever people want to say, and I love my football club as the next guy, but without James Maddison, we create nothing. And we've gone from a situation where we thought we were going to become a team whilst losing at Harry Kane. Just because on that number 10 shirt it's seemingly without that number 10 shirt, without that number 10, we're nothing. Harry Kane, we just scrub off Harry Kane and put Maddison there. Harry Kane did it all last season. Got 30 goals and he dragged us over the line whilst we were playing some of the worst football I've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur. And he got 30 league goals. Now, what you've got is James Maddison's doing all that, like all the creativity. And Son's a great goal scorer, but you're right. Son's a great goal scorer when he gets service. Otherwise, what Son doesn't do the, do you know what? I'm going to drop into midfield and I'm going to start collecting the ball from midfield and trying to dictate play. I didn't see it. I thought Kulusevski on the right was poor. I think apart from his little bit of trickery that played into Porro, who's got the goal from, I thought he did nothing. I thought there was opportunities where he's out on that right-hand side and you're going, just whip it to the back post. No, cut in, slow the game down. Wolves get back into a strong defensive position and then the attack fizzles out. And we didn't lose that game because, let's be frank and honest, we didn't lose that game because of our defending, because we defended brilliantly valiantly for 90 minutes because Wolves were peppering us. Wolves were peppering us for it. We lost it because we had a midfield three that was Conte-esque in Bissouma, Sarr and Hojlund, which
Sarr wasn't even in the midfield.
So
if you look at the heat map of Sarr, he was literally playing on the left next to Brennan Johnson. I'm like, what is going on here?
It literally offered nothing. And I think I like Sarr. I'm one of these. I'm a big fan of Pap Sarr, but he hasn't been great. Bissouma, another one. I love Bissouma. I think he's a great player, but he's not been great for a while. We're now going to miss him for the Villa game. Hojbjerg, I think, is one of the most limited midfielders we've got in our football team. People don't like to say it because he has passion and stuff, but he's very, very limited. Now, then what you're then asking for, okay, fine, if that's how we're going to set up, bear in mind, after the manager, after us playing on the halfway line with 9 men against Chelsea saying, this is how we're going to play, nothing will change it, he then went and played like we're going to defend on our 6-yard box for most of the game.
That was very
confusing. That was a bit, like, you can't 1 week come out. Listen, I think, and listen, I hear a lot of people and they have made good points that, he's just said that to shut the people up. But you say that and people will go, well, you're a bit of a hypocrite. I'm not saying he is. I think he has just done it to silence a lot of the media critics. But you sit there and go, hang on a minute. You said with 9 men, we're going to defend on the halfway line. We've got 11 men and we're going to defend against a Wolves team, by the way, who can't score goals. I think they play very good football, but they struggle to score. I just sit back and I get really, really worried. I'm worried now.
You're really worried after the brilliant start of the season.
But Mo, the start was good. But I think the start very much papered over what it was. I think you have to look the 10 games that we won defeated in, the 10 games. Let's break it down. We played 3 of the top 10 and 7 of the bottom 10, including 5 of the bottom 7. So, and the 3 bottom teams in that. So let's be honest with ourselves. We were playing teams that we should be beating. You could flip in there. Beating Liverpool's a good result. Beating Man United, whether or not what we think about Man United is good.
It's absolutely a good result.
It's still a good result, right? And there's nothing against that. No, I'm not arguing against that. And by the way, a very, very good second half against Arsenal, where I thought we probably should have won the game at the Emirates because I thought we were the better team. But you can put all those into a box and stuff and go, well, hang on. Since the Arsenal game, I don't think we've played as amazing as we expect. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves. I thought we were poor against Luton. Yeah, we got the result, but I thought we created some great chances in the first 15 to 20 minutes, and we could have been
There's one player that shouldn't be playing football in the Premier League.
Well, I know. I think we're going to talk about it shortly, but I think the thing you sit there and go, do you know what? You could have been 3 or 4-0 up against Luton in the first 15 to 20 minutes and go, job done. We then played Fulham, who I thought we had a good game against. I thought it wasn't.
I actually think against Luton, you created the chances. It's just about lack of
what we did. But let's be honest. Think of the opportunities we gave Luton Town. No disrespect, by the way, to Luton Town, but we gave arguably one of the But you can't.
Liverpool drew Luton without even 10 men.
Yeah, but okay. I think we have to be. I get that. Listen, but on paper of it, you go good result, right?
Yeah.
But then I start looking at performances and go, okay, I'm a little bit worried.
You're the only Spurs fan that don't like the performances. I never
No. I do. It's not that I don't like the performances. This is not true. I do. But what
apparently you don't. You keep criticizing every game.
No. But we can be fairly critical of individual performances in certain aspects. Because the thing is you've got to remember, look at the teams we're playing. We're playing against teams we should be scoring against. We're playing this high intensity attacking football. But should we be walking over these teams? Not all the time, doesn't happen. But we don't create the opportunities that I'm expecting, that we've been told that this is how we play. I think early on, use Burnley as a great example. Conceded early against them, but we absolutely battered them. And maybe I am overcompensating and I'm judging it on that. And I'm going, that's how I expect us to be playing against teams in the bottom half. I expect us to be going there creating 15 to 20 opportunities in a game. Yeah, we probably score 4 or 5. I'm not saying that we're going to score 4 or 5 in every game, guys, and stuff, but I just think the dip off has sort of happened. I think, but the Chelsea game and now the Wolves game worry me, because now I sit back and go, when's our next win coming?
Because so here's my problem. My problem is Son is a brilliant striker, but I like Kulusevski. By the way, Kulusevski statistically. And I'm not a statistics guy, right? I'm not the stats guy. But Kulusevski creates a lot of chances. My problem is that left side. Because I'm not convinced that Brennan Johnson is the here and now player. I'm not. Since Nottingham Forest. I think Richalison, and that's a good segue to Richalison. I think Richalison is one of the biggest mistakes in the transfer market for Spurs. Is worse than Lo Celso, is worse than Ndombele, because the difference is you were able to shift these players. Richalison is a terrible player for me in terms when it comes to Big Six. He isn't good enough to play football for Spurs. His first touch is awful. His passing is absolutely horrendous. And his finishing is not even better than both of them, which is you're supposed to be the striker for Brazil. And I think that's hurting your team. There are a couple of games that if you had a better player on that left side or a striker, you would have won the game more comfortably. And that's absolutely ridiculous. That we're still in this with Madison, Son, with Bissouma, you're playing this guy Richalison, who I think is a bum. He's a bum in football. He's not great.
Richalison is. I put it down and I got absolutely slated. I don't know if you saw it. I put a tweet down yesterday and I said pound for pound. And people, by the way, people need to read the whole tweet before they start judging. I said pound for pound, one of the worst strikers I've seen at Spurs. I'm talking about the value to output. His value's up here. His output was down here. He scored 2 league goals. We signed him for £60 million. And it's like, you sit back and go, yeah, there's inflation. We can talk about all that. Like,
no, he's garbage. Come on. He's not worth.
He's all, but
garbage.
But this is all. But the thing is, this is the problem. He's awful. Now,
he's terrible.
He's awful. He's not good enough. He's not good enough to play for Spurs. I think there's not many teams in the Premier League that would go, I'd have him in. I'll be honest. People,
what is the guy? Aniemi or whatever is better than him? The guy that played for Forest.
I'd have Taiwo, wouldn't you?
It's better than Ollie Watkins. Is miles ahead of him. Like Mbuemo is better than him. Like I I'm astonished that some people still sit here and tell me, yeah, but he plays for Brazil. I'm like, well, but he doesn't play good for Spurs. That's what I'm watching. I don't watch Brazil every day. I watch Spurs every day. That's what I watch.
Yeah, no, but listen, you've got to remember. Like, listen, I think people completely miss when they say Brazilian striker. They all think of the Ronaldos, the Rivaldos. Do you know what I mean? The big boys, right? The Zicos. Everyone thinks Beckham. Brazil haven't had a top class striker for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. And listen, the one thing though, what we have got, this is how I will know in January if Tottenham are serious and Daniel Levy is serious, because you sell him as quick as you can in January and you go and sign somebody else. What my concern is, the longer this man is still at Tottenham, he's going to fall in the brackets of the Giovanni Lo Celsos, the Tongi Ndombeles, the Davinson Sanchez's, the Eric Dyers, the Ben Davises, where they've been at this football club for so long that they become absolutely worthless, right? That worries me. That now we could do, because there's massive talk that Saudi Arabia want Brazil's number 9, which I said months ago saying, listen, that I think is the only way out which we can recoup as much of this money as possible and go and buy a competent striker. Touch wood, it happens, because let's be honest, we need a number 9 and fast.
Yeah, 100%. Look, for Spurs, I'm worried that if you get out of the top 4, you're not going to be back in again. Because if you look at the end of the season, your run is horrendous, is very, very tough at the end of the season. If you get out of the top 4, I don't think you can get in. So I want to go up a little bit in the table so the people in the chat like that talk. I haven't had the chance to talk to you about the title race. Are you in the school of like Man City will walk this? There is no chance for any other team, or you think that Arsenal and Liverpool, they can hang in there, they can give Man City a run for their money? To be honest,
I think Man City will win the league. I think Liverpool will be the
I think
team
that's
that
the easy choice. Like, yeah,
it is. Yeah, but it's normally. Let's be fair. Normally, the easy choice is the correct choice. We're all being, if we want to be hipsters and go, oh, I think Arsenal are going to do it all. But listen, I think Man City will win it comfortably. I think the team closest to them that will give them the toughest fight will be Liverpool.
not Arsenal.
I think Arsenal will be there or thereabouts, but I don't think they will be the ones. I think they will tail off with about 15 or so games to go. I just think for Arsenal, but if there's Arsenal fans in there, I'm not just because I'm a Spurs fan. I think Champions League, the longevity of the Champions League for them, I think they will start seeing the pains of it, because I don't think they've got the squad depth in the final third that Liverpool have or that Man City have. I think if you look at Liverpool, if Liverpool lose Jota, they bring in Diaz. If they lose Gakpo or whatever, they put in Nunez up top. Or if they lose, do you know what I mean? If they lose Salah, yes, it's a big pain, but they go, do you know, we've got 6 or 7 players that can rotate all around in that front three, which for me is so vital with injuries and stuff. So I think we could see a Liverpool side that will push Man City, but what Man City have at the moment, listen, let's be honest, they're top of the league right now without their best player in Kevin De Bruyne, right?
Yeah, but listen, I like to think that Arsenal and Liverpool will strengthen in January. So will Manchester City. I think actually Liverpool, if they get a DM, they are as competitive as anybody else. I think Arsenal are, if Gabriel Jesus comes back, if they get a proper 8, if there's a lot of ifs, I know that I say a lot of ifs. However, Arsenal are winning games and they are 1 point behind Manchester City, right? Having beaten Manchester City for the first time in 8 years. Haven't had the right combination yet because of Timber injury, because of Kai Havertz being there, because of Gabriel Jesus being there, because of Odegaard, who has been missing a little bit this season, hasn't even hit the top form yet, which is we have seen players for Manchester City. Gundogan last year didn't start on top form. Bernardo Silva last year, Mahrez will start in the season. There is a lot of players of this Arsenal team are yet to hit their top form that we seen last year. And I like to think that Arteta will be able to get the best out of them. And once Arteta do that, I actually think that they can be, I'm not saying they're going to be favorites, but I like to play the percentage game. I like to play the chances game. And I said that before. Spurs at the moment have no chance of winning the league. Manchester United
Yep.
have no chance. Aston Villa have no chance. The only two teams, along with City, that have chance of winning the league are Liverpool and Arsenal.
Of course.
Now it will come down to details. How do you strengthen in January? Are your players going to come back in form? What if Kevin De Bruyne comes back and he's not in top form, or he gets
Yeah.
injured again? Because Kevin De Bruyne has a nagging hamstring injury, and if you play football, you know that a hamstring injury isn't easy to
Yeah.
come back. You can come back one game and it can happen again,
goes
which is
again.
what
Yeah,
happened to him, right? It happened to him at the Champions
Yeah.
League final. Came back, boom, same injury again. I don't like this notion that people discrediting Arsenal and saying that Arsenal aren't going to be there and thereabout and they don't have any chance. I like to think that both Arsenal and Liverpool have a chance. Yes, Manchester City are the favorites because of one factor, and the biggest factor of them all, having Pep Guardiola, who, even if it doesn't work at some point, will be able to find the formula to get you
Yeah.
10, 12 games. But Arteta did it last year. Arteta had 50 points out of 19 games, which is something that we don't see a lot. So I actually think that Arsenal are a good team. The fact that they are 27 points, 1 point behind Manchester City, without hitting top four, you can take it both ways. You can take it as an indication of a good team that get point until they hit top four, or you can take it as an indication of, no, you're not playing the same scintillating football as last year. You're not. But I like to think the latter because I'm an optimistic guy. I'm a neutral here.
Yeah, I
I'm
get
an
that.
optimistic person.
I think, do you know what I think with me? I think only thing with Arsenal is where I always say, I think, whereas Liverpool have the experience and Klopp has the experience of taking Manchester City to the absolute edge, and they did it, right? They did it. By hook or by crook, however you want to call it, they did it. They got there and they beat Man City to the title. My always worry is what Arsenal at the moment is under the pressure. What happened last season? It was 3 games and their season, and Man City completely flipped it. They were 7 or 8 points in front. They drew to Liverpool after being 2-0 up, drew to West Ham when they were 2-0 up,
Southampton as well.
Southampton as well. And in that moment, Man City went win, 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 and they just took over. Difference is what happens every season. We have this all the time, and everyone goes, "Oh, well, maybe someone else is going to win it because look, it's so close."
We need it. I think people
We
think I hate,
do.
people
We
think I
do.
hate Manchester City. I actually don't. I actually admire the work that Pep Guardiola is doing. I believe that Pep Guardiola is one of the best managers. Sorry to interject here, but I get accused many times of being the Man City hater. I'm actually I just want to see somebody else win the league, just to have an entertainment, from an entertainment point of view, not because I hate Manchester City. And I think
Yeah, no,
every neutral needs that.
I totally get what you're trying to say, and I absolutely understand it. But what do Man City do every single season? What they do is they start slowly, they lose a couple of games here and there, and everyone goes, they're not the same. And then the flip of the new year, what happens? They go and win 10 games on the bounce, and then they go and win the league. What Man City have set the expectation now is to win the league, you have to have, and not even just to win it, to be in the conversation, you need to get 90 points. Realistically.
I believe this season might not be the same.
Maybe.
Do you think, listen,
Maybe
this
so,
Chelsea team taught us something? I said in the beginning of the season, I said there are 9 teams that you're going to face as a top team away from home that is going to be tough. Now, Manchester United are proved to be wrong because Manchester City blew them away. But I think if you play Aston Villa away, Brighton away, Newcastle away, Spurs away, Liverpool, Arsenal away, I think you're going to have a tough time. And Chelsea as well. But do you think that Manchester City can get 90 plus points this year as well?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. This is Manchester City. I think this is the thing. Man City, I get your point. I get what you're trying to say. But Man City have a knack of, from the end of the transfer window, so February into April, are the sort of team that can go and say, we're going to win it all. On the Spurs review on Sunday, we did a really good stat. Sava brought up a great stat. How many times, minus Sunday's game, have Manchester City conceded more than 1 goal? So 2 or more goals. How many times in the last calendar year?
I don't know.
Twice. They beat Spurs 4-2, conceded 2 there. and they lost 2-1 to
Wolves.
Wolves. Yeah, they lost. Yeah, so they lost 2-0 to Wolves. So in the space of nearly a calendar year, they've conceded more than 2 goals 3 times in all competitions. Now that is crazy when you think about it. Like stat wise, that's mental. Like that's how it is. And I think this is the worry for me. I think Man City are one of those teams. I think they are a good side. They're a very good side. And listen, can they win it? Of course they can. But listen, you're right though in the sense of if you want to play this percentage game, can Liverpool do it? Yeah, because I think Liverpool are an amazing football team right now. You're right in the DM.
So would you get Liverpool higher than Arsenal chance?
Yeah. If you out of Liverpool and Arsenal, if I was to pick one, if I was to say if I can't pick a Man City to win the league, I'd pick Liverpool right now. I think Liverpool playing scintillating football at the moment, and they are that when what Liverpool have been doing, and I'll say this now, I think they should have probably beaten us against us if it wasn't for them going down to 9 men and we got away with it in the end, but we did beat them in the end. But I think you look at it and go, Liverpool are washing teams away, even when like. Do you know what the game was? When they played Wolves, do you remember they played Wolves? And everyone went, first off, Wolves went 1-0 up. And everyone went, wow,
Wolves should have been ahead of this game.
Of course. And then what did Liverpool do in the second half? They went, goal, game over. 3-1, we move on. And that's the difference.
So let me flip it on you. Which game do you think, apart from the Spurs game, where you think Arsenal should have been behind?
Against what, us?
No. Apart from the Spurs game, people just want to discredit Arsenal. I think this is because this is easy.
I wouldn't say I'm discrediting Arsenal.
You are. Let me tell you why. You said Liverpool blue team away. Okay. Yeah. Which game? People in the chat, you let me know. Which game did we think Arsenal should have been behind? Maybe they don't score goals, but I can't remember on top of my head now a game where Arsenal should have lost the game or should have been behind and won the game. I can't remember any. Against Manchester City, we can all say that Manchester City had this chance from the set piece in the beginning of the game. But Arsenal overall were a better team. Against Chelsea, yeah, people say against Chelsea, but again, Chelsea made mistakes. And Arsenal lost because of drew because of a penalty. Newcastle, I don't know which game should Arsenal should have lost.
No, I don't.
Lost.
No.
I say lost.
No, I get Mo. I get what you're trying to say here. No, I agree to it.
People say Chelsea and Newcastle. They shouldn't have lost Newcastle. Come on, give me a break.
I agree. I agree to a certain. By the way, this is not me having. I think Arsenal are a really good side. The difference is I watch both Liverpool and Arsenal, and I go, this Liverpool team is it. I think Arsenal are getting results. And I use the term by hook or by crook. I think you're right. I don't think there's many games I sit there going, they should have lost that. Yeah. But what I will say is they're not, I want to say, blowing teams away. They aren't. They
aren't. I agree with you. They aren't.
They're not blowing teams away, which tells me why. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're winning games of football, it doesn't really matter. If you go and win 1-0 for the whole season, you win it. You win the league by a country mile, right? And by not playing great at football, but I think what Arsenal are going to have is a moment when they lose a Saka, they lose a Martinelli, they lose Saliba. Now, if you start taking 2 or 3 of those away, you go, they're not the same football club. They're not the same side. And they're easily got at. Gabriel's one of those. I think he started relatively well this season, but he's got a mistake in him. And I look at it and I just look at it. I look at it more openly. I think Arsenal are still, 2 or 3 players away from winning a league. I think they just need, and I think they were really unlucky. And I will say it's unlucky about Timber. I think Timber would have been a really, really good addition to that defense. And then he goes and gets injured on the opening day, which is just unlucky, right?
Yeah. So can I flip it? Can I ask another question? Because I had this argument yesterday, guys. Over 160 of you here. Get me to 150 likes so we can get more people watching. Come on, people. Listen with this great argument. It's free-flowing conversation, non-stop content for you on Footy Judge Mo. Support the channel, subscribe if you are new, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell because you know when I go live tomorrow. I got a brilliant show in the afternoon for you. Sava and Kunli on here tomorrow, 1 p.m. UK time. Set up your clock, put your alarm on. And also tonight, I got a great debate for you with a big panel tonight, 11 p.m. UK time. Turn on that notification bell. Arteta, though. I had this argument yesterday. I can't remember who I had yesterday morning. I actually can't. I had no, in the evening, I can't remember who. But Arteta, should they sack Arteta if they just don't win a trophy?
Good question.
Because by the way, this is the notion. This is what everybody's saying.
I don't think they will. But
should they?
If they don't win anything, I think if they don't improve from last season, there is definite questions to be asked. I mean, I would say there's questions to be asked. I mean, they've spent nearly £700 million on a revamp of a squad, right? If they take steps, it depends. Obviously, there's going to be context in it. If they go and lose, and they lose 5 or 6 players for the whole season and stuff, you go, well, context is key here. That they've lost Declan Rice, they've lost Saliba for the end of the season. I don't think you would, but I think Arsenal fans have to question it, right? Because I think what they do. I'm not saying all, by the way. When I say what they say, I don't mean everyone, because I get in trouble when I use words like that. When I mean it in context when I'm having conversation with people. I sit back and I think Arteta gets a lot of plaudits for winning an FA Cup. Well, my argument would always be, well, that was a team that wasn't his team. He did it with Unai Emery's team, which is good. No one's against that, fair play. But I hear that, Arteta's won a trophy with Arsenal. And I go, well, hang on a minute. Let's slow it down a bit. This is what, season 4 or 3? 3 or 4? 3? 4. This is now season 4. When does the pressure go on to Arsenal to start winning the big trophies?
When they have the best team. That's my answer. When they have the best team in the country.
But they've spent nearly £1 billion.
So did other teams. So the other teams.
Like who?
Like Manchester City always bring the best players. They have the best coach.
But Man City win it every year, right? Man City win it. They win everything every year. But they don't go out and spend loads and loads of money. They relatively spend in context the same as what Arsenal do. They don't go out and spend £200 million on players. Yeah, you could argue they did on Grealish. You could argue they spent a big chunk on Vardy, but they don't go out and buy
Grealish,
big players.
Haaland, Gavardio,
about 50 million quid.
Haaland, they paid a lot of fees. They paid.
I grant that.
Come on,
Okay, in context, if you want to use that, that's fair. Use the context on me. I like it.
Yes, come on.
Okay,
but let me put it to you this way. Let me put it for you this way. Arteta improved Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White. Right, he improved Xhaka. And he actually, this is what I think. Arteta made this Arsenal team very, very competitive team. Arteta made this team, people look at this team, a team that had no recent history in the Champions League. Remember, they haven't, I think, gone past the round of 16 since 2010. Right? He made them now, people don't want to face them in the Champions League. He made them competitive in the league. He made people fearful of their team. This is his 4th year as a full-time coach. Before that, I was an assistant, right? Alex Ferguson took time. Pep Guardiola is probably the only coach that didn't take time because he was from La Masia, took over a Barcelona team that has Messi. Arteta improved this Arsenal team massively, going against the mighty Manchester City at the moment and the big Liverpool. And he improved them now that we're having a conversation. We're sitting here having a conversation about this Arteta guy. He has to win the league. This by itself proves that he has done a good job. My point if he challenges Man City to the end of the league, loses the league by 2 points, 3 points, 4 points because of small details, because we know calls go this way or that way, referees calls. You can lose the game by a wrong penalty or a long call. You can go out in the Champions League, penalties, or a goal to Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. I will call that an improvement. Why would I sack the guy that did that? But then people come back and say, but he has to win a trophy. Well, I think childish.
You know what? No, I agree. By the way, he has to win something. Blah blah blah. I think you're right. I agree with you on that point because I hear this all the time. I hear this in that.
He has to win the cup. I'm like,
he has to
what
do
if,
this.
what if you go?
But
What if you had a very important game in the league and you had to rest players in the league? Well, people come back and say, I'm going to give you the argument. People come back and say, but he had the transfer market. Yes, but he had Timber is injured. Some players are out of form. Is it because of him or is it because of other players? Yes, it might be. Pep Guardiola got out of Real Madrid after cruise control 2 seasons ago in the Champions League. Should you have sacked him? No, come on. I want context. I want people to look at the bigger picture. Give him a chance.
I agree, but what I would say, this is the other side of it, is when does there the pressure to become a success? Because it's all well and good. I get what you're saying, but if he goes on for what and he stays there for 10 years and doesn't win anything, but he's still just not getting over the line. We had this with Pochettino. Like, and I'm not putting him in the same bracket, but I'm just using it as context. We did this with Pochettino. We didn't get over the line. Didn't get over the line in FA Cup finals. Didn't get over the line in League Cups. Didn't get over the line in the league twice. Didn't get over the line in the Champions League final. The problem is the continuous bit. I'm not sitting here saying that Arsenal should be winning the league because I think Man City are the best team in the league. So out of my own level, Man City should be winning the league. But what I will say is him getting knocked out of cups early rounds. Not if he doesn't progress far in the Champions League. I don't think, and I'll flip your question on it when you said about he's doing a good job. Blah blah. People fear Arsenal. I don't think the likes of Real Madrid fear Arsenal. If Real Madrid played Arsenal in the Champions League, I don't think they fear them.
They wouldn't fancy their chances as much as they fancy the chances against Manchester United, against Spurs.
Yeah, but Man United are right now. I mean, we can't compare. Man United are an absolute state of a football club. They're all over the place and they can't do it. I don't think that's fair to compare, but I do get what you're saying, because at the time, them two were very similar in the sense of they had no direction. Arsenal with a direction. The problem is where's the direction going to? Are they just sat on a continuous ride, staring, watching Man City win everything? Or are they going to go, do you know what? We need to go and buy our Erling Haaland. We need to go and buy the next level up. That's the difference, right?
Can I ask you something? Are Arsenal the best team in the league?
No.
Are Arsenal the best team in Europe?
No.
Okay, so why should they win it? Why should be a pressure to win?
No, but
the pressure is always on you if you're the best team. Like in Italy, Inter, we have the best squad, we have the best manager, we have the best team. If we don't win the league, it's our fault. But if you tell me Juventus or Milan don't win the league, it's their fault, I would say, but they are not the best team. If tomorrow Spurs, are you the fourth best team in the country, Spurs?
What's that? Sorry, say it again?
Are you Spurs the fourth best team in the country?
No, not at the moment.
No,
not at the moment. No.
So if you don't make top 4, but you play good football,
yeah, I get that.
I use the same logic.
No. By the way, I get everything you're saying. Absolutely everything you're saying. The problem I have is though with it is, so from that context, if Arsenal just steady themselves and not be the best team in the league, there's no expectation for winning something. How long does it take for Arsenal fans to sit there and go, hang on a minute, we're Arsenal. We should be the best team in the country. When are we going to get to that stage? And listen, that stage could come next year, all that. But is the progress...
You answer me, what should they do to be the best team in the country?
They need to go and buy better players. Improve better players. I think
So who's better than Saka? So give me names. Who's better than Saka? Martinelli, better than Odegaard, better than Declan Rice, better than Saliba. Who's better than these people? I don't think there's anybody.
There's loads of better players out there.
Well, you think they should go and buy Vinny Jr.? The difference is Arsenal, no team is complete. No team is complete.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that.
No team is complete. Even Manchester City aren't complete, right? However, they have the best manager in the world. But there's only one Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, but Arsenal should still be trying to win FA Cups here and there. But
I don't believe in cups, but fine. I believe in Champions Leagues and leagues.
No,
fine.
but they're still tournaments. Like, listen, if you can't hit, okay, so from that context, then what's the point, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Man City now are not in the they're not in the cup, right? Look at the teams left in it. Arsenal should have been that team. Tottenham should have been that team in there. We got knocked out in the second round. But I put us in the same context. It's not an Arsenal bashing here. But if you don't think you're good enough to win the league, or you aren't the best team in the league, you should be going out there winning domestic trophies, right? Listen, I think Arsenal have done well, but the question's got to be, where is the appetite to go and win the big trophies? When is the pressure going to be there? Because it's all well and good finishing second. There's no pressure in finishing second. Not winning the league by 7 or 8 points. There's no pressure because Man City do it every year. They handle that pressure, right?
Yeah, listen. Manchester City are a different animal, in my
They're
opinion.
different. They're the best team in the world, mate.
They're the best team in the world, the best run club in the world, and everything. I'm moving on from Arsenal. We have spent a lot of time on Arsenal, Liverpool, because it's an enjoyment. And I haven't even finished. I can go for an hour, 1 more hour, and I know you have to go, and I have to go as well. The last part is Manchester United. 2 minutes. I want you to tell me, do you think there is a solution for this Manchester United team? There is a team in form. People tell you that. Is there a way to fix this Man United thing without changing the ownership?
Well, this is
because that's the easy choice, right? You can just
I know. Because we have a very similar situation with our ownership. I think it's actually the other way around. I think they're both. We have the same problem, but in different areas. The infrastructure at Man United is all over the place. They haven't got facilities. They're not. Ronaldo came out and said it, right? In that interview with Piers Morgan, he said it is like being back in the 90s in there. Like it's all old school stuff. Whereas you go to some of these bigger clubs and it is all state of the art equipment. But they go and buy players, right? And listen, but what Man United are now is they just go out there and buy players. They don't really buy a system. I think what they need is they need a project again at Man United. And they're not that team. They haven't really ever been that team of, do you know what? We're gonna give it to this manager for 5 years and start it. I don't think Ten Hag's that guy. I don't think he is shown any. I think he won the League Cup last season, which kept him there, right? But I think when you exclude the people like Jadon Sancho, but you don't win games of football, and you start trickling down the league, people start going, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here? It's all well and good. If Man United are winning games week in, week out, and they're battering teams and Jadon Sancho's excluded, you go, do you know what? Maybe he's right. But these players can't be playing for this guy. They can't be, right? Like, no. But when you're spending all this money and then your back four is your back four is Dalot, Maguire, Evans, and Wan-Bissaka.
Maguire's playing well.
No. Granted, they're playing well, but let's be honest. We were talking about Spurs earlier. If Eric Dyer and Ben Davies start playing well, we're going to use that as a sort of grade, but then we should be getting better players. It's Man United, right? But I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are Man United the team that we also use fear anymore? Or is it just now another football team?
It's just, I said it before. People don't want to believe me. I said, you are the news now. If you keep not winning, you're not going to be the news.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be news. When Man United don't win now, it's news. Right? When Man United are bad now, it's news, right? 2-3 years down the road, you fall out of top four, or you fall out in terms of like, you're just another team, another part of the Premier League. You're not news anymore. People are going to stop talking about you. Yeah. But Man United fans don't want to believe that. And I said that many times. You're only news if you are expected to win and you don't win, or you're not expected to win and you win. But if you're not expected to win and you don't win, you're not news. What is there to report on? Like, you don't see Nottingham Forest losing and people reporting on Nottingham Forest losing. I'm sorry to take that, to make that example. You don't see, at the moment, by the way, people are not reporting that Brighton are in a shit form because people said, you're losing every week or you're not winning every week. It's not news. It's nothing new.
I get your point.
But that's the point. Man United fans always think we're always going to be news. You're not gonna always be news. I promise you, I've seen this. I'm 38 years old and I've seen this. I've seen the cycle go up and down. Arsenal stopped being news when you stopped winning regularly and people moved on. You weren't on the front pages. Nobody were talking about you, by the way. No one was printing papers. Arsenal are losing. Arsenal not qualifying for the Champions League.
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna be there because you're not winning games. I say that many times, and if it will take years, but if it continues like this, I think there is no fix for Manchester United. I believe they should keep Erik ten Hag as long as he's winning games, because the reason to get an interim manager is to start winning again. But he's winning. Does that make sense?
No, I get that, but if you think about Man United had the right guy to sort all this out, and they got rid of him. Ralph Rangnick was the guy to sort this all out. He called it, didn't he? He said in a press conference saying, what's wrong at this football club? And then they got rid of him, or he went off to become Austrian manager or whatever. But he was the guy. If you went to him, do you know what? You're the guy to put it all behind and go, do you know what? We want you to be the leading guy. You get the people in that you want, and we will build from there. Spurs, hopefully, Touchwood, are starting to do that. We've got in the likes of Scott Martin, Johan Lang, and obviously the manager, Ange Postecoglou. So, in essence, hopefully that's happening at Tottenham. But Man United needs someone to lead the line. There's no one that's really in charge.
Hojlund is injured now. Too bad for them.
Hojlund's injured. And but in the context of not the here and now, I think Man United need half a decade to fix the problem. They've got so many issues. They're not bringing people through their academies anymore. Very rarely. I mean, they're having to buy to produce, right? Garnacho was bought by Atletico from Madrid, Atleti. They're not really bringing through the players like they used to. And listen, I know it's slightly different, but Man City are doing it now. That Man City are slightly doing what Man United were doing years ago. The likes of Phil Foden coming through, Rico Lewis. Do you know what I mean? These lads are coming through their academy.
Cole Palmer, look at Cole Palmer now starting for Chelsea.
Cole Palmer played 2 games and they got 40 odd million quid for him. So this is the problem. Man United are slowly falling behind, and if they keep sticking their heads in the sand, and listen, it doesn't help when you got the owners. Everyone will say change of owners. That's fine, but we know, everyone here knows they're going nowhere unless they sell. But they're not going anywhere. So is the decline going to continue going on? Because these owners care about the money, right? They're not going to let the decline go so bad. That's why they go and spend money on players, because they can't allow the profits of the football club going down the further and further they sit down. So what they'll do is they'll make sure they'll try and keep them competing in Europe, and it keeps the revenues driven. But listen, with Man United though, I think they'll finish 8th this season. If I'm honest.
Well, we'll see.
7th or 8th, I would say. 7th or 8th.
Well, they will surprise us, I believe. Richard here is saying, comes a point when Arteta has to beat the odds. I agree with that, but I don't think it's this season still, because still Pep Guardiola has the strongest team. I think it's not this season, Richard. This season is still progression. I believe if he wins it, he wins it. If he doesn't, but progresses, I think, Richard, we have to cut him some slack and give him the chance. People, I want to thank Perchi here from Football Heritage TV. I want them to get 50 or 100 more subscribers. Click on the link. Click on the link in the title. Go give them subscription. Like their last video or last 10 videos if you like, because it helps their channel massively. Thank you, Preachy, for being here. Thank you for everybody that watched us. Make sure to like the video on your way out. Share it on your social. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I really appreciate you being here, my man. Thank you so much for joining. It was an honor having you here.
Mo, absolute pleasure. And if you ever need me, my friend, I'm always here if you need me. I actually had a really good chat. It was really cool. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for everyone that watched us. Stay on the stream. It will take you to Hussam. He will have Matisse for a Chelsea review. And also check out the membership in the description to be on a panel. We had a brilliant 6-man panel last Friday. All members. It was absolutely brilliant chat. And it was the record stream for this young channel. Thank you for everybody that is supporting me. Thank you for everybody that is liking the videos and supporting me with super chats. Of course, Richard sent a super chat. Thank you, people. Stay on the stream. Don't go anywhere. It will take you to Hussam's stream. This is football. Give him a like. Say Mo Football Judge Mo Raid. Thank you, and we'll see you guys soon. We're out.